Hey friends, Peggy Hall back with you from thehealthyamerican.org, continuing with my live coverage on the Maui disaster. And it is August 17th, 2023. It is a little bit more than a week since this disaster was inflicted upon the unsuspecting population. My heart goes out to all of the Hawaiians, everyone that is suffering with this trauma and this type of terrorism that I believe was intentionally conducted and orchestrated. The reason I'm doing these videos is because I want to help you see through the lies, read through the lies, actually. I want you to join me on this journey as I'm doing some deep dives and going to the original source of listening to the news concerts, as one newscaster actually referred to them. And I thought that's a really good name because they are like performances. I'm going to continue to reveal to you these very strange characters that are on the scene, and it needs to be shared with other people so that they can understand the evil intentions that these public serpents have set for us. If you're not aware, there has been a movement for decades, for probably centuries, ever since mankind was created by God, to actually separate us from God and to exterminate God's greatest creation, which is the human being. And we are seeing that in so many ways. We've seen it over the years. And what's really interesting to me is how these characters are all interrelated. So stick with me over the next several days. I'm not going to let this go. Tomorrow, I will be bringing my friend Renette Senham on because she's been bringing some information from some eyewitnesses as well. And she is also talking a lot about the weather warfare that we've been experiencing again over decades. I've got lots of videos on my channel. Let me share my screen, and we're going to dive in just a moment. I want to thank you for being on board and for sharing these videos. And let's do this. This is my Healthy American channel. And most of the videos I broadcast are live. I did have one video here, the failed emergency response, where I have a lot of questions for Josh Green New Deal. And then you can see all of my other live videos. Best is to go right to my playlist, and then you can see the Maui Fires playlist. If you click on that, you can actually get a link. You can share that, and you can see all of these videos that I have where I've things don't add up. I talked about the directed energy weapons, lots of deep dives. So thank you for sharing those as well. What I want to talk about now is the fellow that has the responsibility for alerting the population when a disaster breaks out. So I did a short video. I don't know how short it was. I did a video just prior to this where I did bring some information about this individual and how he is passing the buck, but I want you to hear it in his own words from a news conference that was just aired yesterday. He looks like he's in way over his head. I believe that he's the fall guy so that they'll have somebody to point to, and then he can either resign or be fired, and then probably go to work for FEMA or Department of Homeland Security or something. Or who knows, maybe he'll be selected to be the next governor of Maui. All right, here we go. I'm going to cue this up for you. And this is, here we go. Let me share my screen. Let me know if you are watching any of these live news conferences. And what I thought was interesting, so this was broadcast by KITV, but it is the actual unedited news concert. And I noticed here under the comments, it says, please practice aloha and be respectful if you choose to comment. Divisive rhetoric, conspiracy theories, and personal attacks will get you banned without warning. Mahalo, which means thank you. So I did leave some comments. I don't even know if they're still up there, but I did just ask some questions about things that didn't add up. All right, let's look at the cast of characters we have here. So this guy right here, I'm going to be bringing to you tomorrow a deep dive about his background. He is from the American Red Cross, as I call it. And I have good reason to call it that. When you do a deep dive, you'll see why. He used to work for FEMA, and he used to work for the Department of Homeland Security. And there's at least one shady experience that made me raise my eyebrows. This is the guy that we're going to see right now. He is the director of the emergency management there on Maui. And she's the one running the press concert. This is the mayor. This poor interpreter, she never gets a break. She has to do the American Sign Language interpretation for everyone. By the way, prior to the cooties hogwash, I never recall anybody doing the American Sign Language interpretation. It's probably a very nice service for those that are using that language, but I thought that was very interesting that now it is a regular fixture. They really should hire another person and give this poor woman a break. And then this is Josh Green New Deal. And of course, this is the ex-Las Vegas chief of police who was there on the scene with the natural disaster of the bang bang incident that also doesn't add up. Not going to do a deep dive on that, but there's so much out there that people have done already, but it's very suspect. So I'm going to unplug. We're going to listen. There will be a couple of interactions and I will unplug my audio. I will enlarge the screen and then we will listen to the question asking him, why didn't the sirens go off? Oh, before we do that, let's just do a little reminder. I've covered this on several videos. The County of Maui outdoor warning siren testing. All right. These sirens, here's one right here. They are all along the coastline. Gee, that's exactly where the fire hit the hardest, was along the coastline. They also do a test of these sirens every month. At 11:15 a.m., a test is conducted by the emergency alert system and then the outdoor warning sirens on the first work day of each month. And the siren consists of a 60-second steady tone. So then the people know that when a siren goes off, it means that there's an emergency. I don't see how much more clear it could be. Of course, they love that number 80. And there are 80 sirens in Maui County. And it says that the all hazard siren system can be used for a variety of natural and human-caused events. Yes, I'm putting this one in that category. And here it is, wildfires and other incidents. So it's for terrorist threats, volcanic eruptions, flooding, dam breaches, and tsunamis, hurricanes, materials incidents, and so forth. So people know that that means there's something going on. I just want to set the stage because now we're going to listen to what he says about it. Oh, I'm going to carry this video, cover this for you tomorrow. All right, let's go back. This is the one. I want you to see how many times you see this governor with that gesture where he has his finger covering his mouth. It could be that he's just insecure. It gives a posture of lack of confidence. It also, if there are people that study body language and so forth, that means he's hiding something. In the powers that shouldn't be, putting a finger over the mouth means that I'm hiding a secret. There's something that I'm not telling you. I don't know if he's doing that subconsciously, but I have caught him in at least 3 images where he is doing that. See if you can catch some as well. I look at everything. I look at the clothes they're wearing. One of my Healthy Americans reminded me to look for any logos of, witnesses that are on the scene, just to kind of see if anything doesn't add up, and a lot doesn't add up. I don't even want to call him the police chief because he really fell down on the job. He doesn't even, in my view, he was not acting as a chief of fire. And to this day, there has not been any information regarding how many firemen were sent, how many engines, at what time, and what location. I am going to do a Freedom of Information on that to request that information. If anybody would like to beat me to it, please do so, and you can share that information as well. Exactly how many firefighters were dispatched and where and for how long, and who was the incident commander, and when did they call them back, and where is the report of the incident, and where was this guy in the middle of it all? Never got that information. And he hardly ever is questioned on any of these news concerts. All right, let's listen to it here.
Christy, name and news organization, please.
Christy Comshiro from PH12 News. My question is going back to sirens. Why were sirens not used in Lahaina or upcountry last week, as wildfire is listed as a purpose for them on the official state website?
So the question is around siren use, clarification on that, noting that wildfire use for sirens is stated on the website.
The state-owned outdoor siren system is a tool that we can use, and we've used in the past. However, in a wildland fire incident, the system has not been used, either in Maui or in other jurisdictions around the state. In this case, our internal protocol is to use WEA, which is the Wireless Emergency Alert System, and the EAS, the Emergency Alert System. WEA sends alerts to by text messages to cellular phones, and the EAS sends messages to both television and radio. Local notification system sends messages via text, voicemail, and our landlines. Counties in the state of Hawaii will tell you that sirens have not been used for brush fires. It is our practice to use the most effective means of conveying an emergency message to the public during a wildland fire. And it is the WEA and ES along with other local mass notification system called MEMA alerts.
Mahalo. This next question comes from Peter Boylan with the Honolulu Star Advertiser. Is the AG's comprehensive review Is the AG's comprehensive review a criminal or a civil investigation? And is the U.S. Department of Justice and other federal agencies assisting with the inquiry? And this question is for the governor.
Sure. So I thought, because the most important thing we can do at this point is to learn how to keep ourselves safer going forward.
Everything is about safety, isn't it? Doesn't that ring a bell?
We would start this comprehensive review right away. And that's what we're doing. So I tasked the Attorney General to do that. She's bringing in outside support as well. There's been some question about whether it could be done independently. The answer is yes. She has stated to me from the beginning that was one of the purposes. She'll, of course, review what she can, but we will bring outside reviewers also. It's not a criminal investigation in any way. We will bring in whatever help is necessary. Right now, we are working to find out how we can make sure it's safe as we go through hurricane season, as we deal with the reality that there are going to be fires month in and month out.
There are going to be fires month in and month out because, global swarming. And that's what he wants to put a stop to and blame it on. I did a video where he blamed the deaths on global swarming.
For the decades to come, and not just in Hawaii, but all across the country. So we view this as a way to learn and to share, in this case from our tragedy, we want to share how to best protect people across the planet. That's really what it is. We also are going to bring in individuals like FEMA.
Did you hear that? He wants to protect people across the planet. Yes, there's that new Green Deal, Josh Green New Deal, and his UN agenda.
Experts help us. I've also asked that they consult with NASA.
I'm going to bring in experts and consult with NASA. Now, for those of you that might not be up to date on NASA, I'll let you read some of the comments below because my lovely healthy Americans will let you know that that is also something that is going to raise a red flag. Yeah, in cahoots with NASA. The space agency is going to be one of the experts about how to reduce these so-called wildfires. Even if you believe that they were natural, what would NASA have to do with anything? You see this as a huge government expansion grab as well.
And work with the best scientists that work on meteorologic incidents across the globe. We also,
it was because NASA didn't give them the information about how to turn the sirens on. It's NASA's fault.
We'll have a lot of university input. We won't turn
the university indoctrination input. Yeah.
Away anyone who wants to be supportive of this research and this study, because we want to make sure that it's safer for all going forward.
Patience, I promise. Okay, our next question, I'm going to take it in the back, Diane.
Diane from KITV. I was wondering, I'm reading these national articles about how there are bodies found in trees.
Okay, I want to just skip ahead. That's not what I want to hear. We're going to go right to the questioning of Herman and Daya's credentials, whether he actually is well suited for the job. So let me just go back here a little bit and we will follow up here.
And I'm not going to rush it. I'm sorry.
That's the chief of police there.
I see everyone, I promise. Thank you for your patience. This next question comes from Allison Blair.
5 and 3 is 8. They love that, don't they? You add that to 7, it reduces to 6. Might have nothing to do with anything, but I am always looking at all of their signs and symbols.
With Hawaii News Now. Can you tell us when the Maui County EOC was activated for the Lahaina fire and which agencies were there when the fire started moving toward the town Tuesday afternoon?
Okay, this is where sometimes I will turn the sound off and play. I want you to see how Green New Deal here gives a little bit of a look to the Maui mayor. And notice they all have their hands exactly the same way. They were told to stand in this position. It's very interesting. Let's look at Josh Green New Deal as the question is being asked and his expression over to the mayor, like, uh-oh, here we go. The question is about the Emergency Operations Center. When was that activated and who was all involved? I'm going to play that again.
I see everyone, I promise. Thank you for your patience.
Take a look at
this next question comes from Allison Blair with Hawaii News Now. Can you tell us when the Maui County EOC was activated for the Lahaina fire and which agencies were there when the fire started moving toward the town Tuesday afternoon?
Maui EOC was activated on Monday evening at 9 o'clock. Partial activation because of the fires that was occurring out in Kula. And subsequently went to full activation the next day. Initially, there was a Lahaina fire that was under control in the morning.
I do need to say one other thing. Notice who's not here. The so-called fire chief is not there. How come he's not answering the questions about when the fire broke out, how many uniformed firemen were on, or, I don't know if they're uniformed, how many firefighters were on the scene, how many trucks were on the scene, who dispatched them, who was the incident commander? He's not even here. They're not even accepting questions to this so-called chief of the fire department.
And then another fire broke out later on in the afternoon. At that point, we were in full activation.
And they're doing all sorts of little facial gestures toward each other, expressions, don't know what all that's about.
Very patient. We'll take the next question here.
John, the question is for Mr. You made the decision not to sound the sirens.
He said, you made the decision not to sound the sirens.
Which could have saved many lives.
Which could have saved many lives.
Reschedule VIP call.
What's that?
VIP call rescheduled 8:30.
Now there are questions about your lack of experience that you only took on.
And other questions about your lack of experience.
Do you regret your decision? And have you considered handing over the reins to somebody?
Do you regret your decision and have you considered handing over your reins?
Somebody with more experience.
So the question is around sirens as it relates to the disaster. And the question is for Herman.
So your story talks about how I didn't have experience before taking on a job, and that's not true. Before taking on a job, I was a member of the cabinet. I was deputy director of the Department of Housing and Human Concerns, as well as the mayor's chief of staff for 11 years. And so during that time, I was I oftentimes report to the emergency operations centers, and I have done this on numerous occasions.
He was the chief of staff for the previous mayor. This is the new mayor. He only took office in January of 2023. Green New Deal took office in January of 2023. The cheat of police, Pelletier, who had been in the Las Vegas incident, took office here, was sworn in 2022. So I find that very interesting. And again, this fellow does not look very confident or well-equipped to handle emergencies, disasters. He does not, he feel, to me, I would not have hired him. It just does not appear equipped at all.
Also during the time, we went through numerous trainings as well. And so to say that I'm not qualified, I think is incorrect. In addition to that, when I applied for this position, which is, by the way, a civil service position, I went through a very arduous process, and I was vetted, had to take a civil service exam. I was interviewed by seasoned emergency managers, and they all deemed me qualified. In fact, I was selected. So that's.
Do you regret not sounding the sirens?
I do not. And
do you regret not sounding the sirens? I do not.
The reason why, and
so many people said they could have been saved if they had time to escape.
So many people said they could have been saved if they had had time to escape.
Had the siren gone off,
had the siren gone off,
they would have known that there was a crisis emerging. And as we know, so many bodies were found in the ground.
You want him to give you the answer?
I do, I
let him finish his answer.
Sorry, there's a lot of people.
Well, you're talking and you're not letting him talk. If you want to talk, come up here.
I'm ready for the answer.
Wow, the serpents are sweating. This guy does not like that his minion is getting exposed. I wouldn't want to meet up with this guy in a dark alley. I'll just put it that way.
Then wait.
the sirens, as I mentioned earlier, is used primarily for tsunamis. And that's the reason why many of them are found, almost all of them are found on the coastline. The public is trained to seek higher ground in the event that the siren is sounded. In fact, on the website of the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency, the following guideline is provided. If you are in a low-lying area near the coastline, evacuate to high grounds, inland or vertically to the fourth floor and higher of a concrete building. Alerts may also come in the form of a wireless emergency alert. Having sounded the siren that night, we're afraid that people would have gone Malka. And if that was the case, then they would have gone into the fire. And so that is the reason why our protocol has been to use WEA and EAS. By the way, I should also note that there are no sirens Malka or on the mountainside where the fire was spreading down. So even if we sounded the siren, it would not have saved those people on the mountainside, Malka.
All right, let me wrap up here, friends. I think it's very clear that he is passing the buck. And instead of saying we made a mistake, we should have done it, we're grieving this, we regret this, it'll never happen again. They continued with this line of, well, it wouldn't have worked. People would have run toward the fire anyway. I find that reprehensible. And I'm glad that the governor is having this investigation by the Attorney General. I have to dig into the Attorney General a little bit more, the background to see. I have no idea whether this is going to be carried out at the level that it needs to be, but I also believe that these public serpents are going to use it to their advantage. They do not let these catastrophes go to waste. The mayor himself said that he sees opportunity going forward. And that is very troubling to me. I'm going to sign off here, friends. I've got an entire playlist for you. Join me tomorrow. I'm going to be exposing more of these serpents and their devious, diabolical ways so that we can continue to expose the evil. We can support and validate what each of us is seeing so that we can share this information. We can expose the evildoers and we can make sure that we stand strong and not let them pull the wool over our eyes. All right, friends, thank you so much for being on board. And I look forward to seeing you in an upcoming video.